Welcome to LaunchCode with Mike and Paul, two industry veterans who will take you on their exciting adventure building their software company from the ground up. Get ready for cutting-edge tech insights, candid stories, and a whole lot of fun along the way. Welcome to their amazing adventure. Welcome to LaunchCode.
Hello and welcome everybody to the latest episode of LaunchCode with Mike and Paul. I'm Paul Schneider. This is my friend and business partner, Mike Dillon. Mike, how are you?
Hey, doing great on a Friday.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a good Friday because today we're going to talk about a Fortune 101 company. Yep, missed the 100 by one, but this company is consistently ranked in the top 10 of America's most innovative companies. And in this podcast, if you haven't already guessed it, we're going to talk about Oracle and the technology and their higher education strategy. So with us today is Oracle's Andy Clark, industry executive, director, strategist for higher education and public sector. Andy has had a senior leadership position in higher education institutions as well as consulting in software companies. Andy, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, good to be here.
And Andy, it's funny. Our history goes back a long time. And in fact, when you were still, a senior executive at a couple of different institutions, and you were launching a side business in analytics, which is still so much needed in the industry. But hey, why don't you tell the audience a little bit of your career history and what led you to join Oracle?
Oh, definitely. So started out, give you the backstory. Originally, I was in ROTC. I was supposed to go in the Army. I tore a nerve in my tricep. Hold on. Let's redo that since my alarm just went off in the background. Well, can we cut and redo? Hate to do that.
It's probably easier just to re-record the whole thing then.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. And let me go turn that off so it doesn't go off.
I thought you had birds hanging out. Hello and welcome to our latest episode of LaunchCode with Mike and Paul. My name is Paul Schneider. With me is Mike Dillon, my friend and business partner. Mike, how are you today?
Doing great on a Friday.
Awesome. Yeah, well, it's going to be a good Friday because today we're going to talk about a Fortune 101 company. Yep, missed the top 100 by just one, but this company is consistently ranked in the top 10 of really America's most innovative companies. And in this podcast, if you haven't already guessed it, we're going to talk about Oracle. We're going to talk about its technology and higher education strategy. And with us today is Oracle's Andy Clark, industry executive, director, strategist for higher education and public sector. And Andy has had senior leadership positions at higher ed institutions, as well as consulting and software companies. So Andy, thank you for joining us today.
Good to be with you guys.
So Andy, our history goes back a long ways. When you were a senior executive, vice president and provost at one institution, and I think even earlier than that. But you were also launching a business that so needed even today around analytics in higher education and predictive analytics in particular. But I'd love for the audience to hear about your career history and in particular what led you to join Oracle.
Oh yeah, definitely. I go back to like college and kind of coming out of college because I never thought I'd be working in higher ed. Originally, I was in ROTC, had plans to to commission into the Army. Had a medical issue, tore a nerve in my left arm, kind of derailed that a little bit. So I had to make a pivot, and I was lucky enough that I had some really supportive faculty that were retired colonels. So they basically encouraged me to stay and do a master's degree. Kind of showed me how I could get it done in 1 year. So I stuck around, got my master's in public administration. And while I was getting that master's degree, I met Dr. Jim Purcell. Dr. Jim Purcell is still a good friend of mine. He's the commissioner for higher education in the state of Alabama. But while I was doing an internship as part of my master's in Dr. Purcell's office, he kind of introduced me to analytics. The Office of Institutional Research on a college campus is pretty much kind of that analytics arm, reporting arm for the institution. So I kind of started my career out in institutional research. There was a job opening in the office, so Dr. Purcell hired me there. Stayed in institutional research for about a decade, but kind of wanted to take what I'd learned from analytics and kind of roll that over into enrollment management. So I kind of moved out of it, that IR space, and into enrollment management. Was a chief enrollment management officer at Armstrong Atlantic State University and Valdosta State University. And while I was at Valdosta State University, I worked on my doctorate, my PhD, or I've got a doctorate in public administration, but my dissertation, I wrote it on, kind of predictive analytics and student success. So it was really kind of focused on leveraging analytics to get better outcomes with regard to student success. That's where I got the idea to kind of spin off a kind of an analytics consulting company there. But after you get your doctorate in higher ed, you kind of want to if you're on that path where you think you want to be a president, you've got to move over into academic affairs. Yep. My last role on campus, I was the vice provost for academic affairs at Middle Georgia State University, kind of handling the merger of those two institutions, completing that, and then getting university status. So what used to be two state colleges merged into what is today Middle Georgia State University. Merging institutions is a complex and difficult thing. Oftentimes the faculties don't necessarily agree on everything from each of those two institutions. So after doing that, I really kind of missed the student life cycle side of things. So I left the campus world. I went to Deloitte. I was a senior manager at Deloitte on their strategy and analytics team, really trying to focus on those, that student life cycle management and analytics around, improving the student experience, improving the student outcomes. Was at Deloitte for 2 years, wasn't really looking to leave Deloitte, but Oracle kind of called and they were starting these new industry positions, and they had retail was in seat, and the second industry position that Oracle hired was in higher ed. So definitely committed to the higher ed space. The third was healthcare. And if you saw anything from our founder, Larry Ellison, last week, big focus on healthcare here at Oracle. But I just felt like the opportunity for being able to really kind of guide, the strategy and really work closely with development as well as the customers in higher ed, and make sure that we're bringing, products and solutions that are really solving, those big challenges and big issues within the higher ed space. So that's kind of how I got to Oracle. I've been here for 5.5 years. I really enjoy what I do. I get to do a lot with customers. I get to get out in the field, get on university campuses quite a bit, and then also kind of relay information back, to our development organization about, these are some challenges that the industry sees, and these are some different ways that hopefully we can, work some things into the product to solve that.
That's great. Yeah, quite a journey, and in a way, now you're able to touch and help many more institutions in this role. So it's super. And hey, want to pick up on the student system topic. I know the Tambellini Group recently named Oracle a leader among student system software vendors. And I think specifically they said the solution is being thoughtfully architected as a student-centric platform that offers a user experience often seen with best-of-breed solutions. So kind of picking up on that, Andy, what are your views about significant trends in higher education which really make Oracle's new student system so timely?
Okay, and I'll roll it back a little bit because,
Sure.
Chief Enrollment Management Officer for 10 years at two institutions. And one of the things that you notice, I've worked with both PeopleSoft Campus Solutions and Ellucian Banner, is they're very rigid systems. And they were built more to serve the functional offices, such as the registrar, admissions, and financial aid. They really didn't put the student at the center or have the student kind of, in mind. It was really just to kind of, improve the processing and other things of those offices. So very kind of, functionally centric. The new student system, and really one of the reasons that I came to Oracle is, I give an example. The provost came to me, I guess it's back in 2010, and said, hey, the faculty want to offer this course from this date to this date. And I kind of had to say, I was like, well, we can't do that. And, in this day and age, that's not a good response. But with those older systems, they had a start date and an end date. And if it didn't fall within that, there were financial aid implications and other things. So you really could not offer a course across 2 terms. So Oracle's student system that we're bringing to market is much more flexible and nimble. It's architected in a way to allow institutions to do what they do today with their traditional degree programs, credit hour based, kind of semester, quarter based system. It can handle those programs, but it's also got the flexibility to kind of really allow institutions to experiment with new learning modalities, competency based, subscription based learning, a lot of things that are that you couldn't do in those older systems. This system is being architected to do that. It can do it non-standard term, standard term, non-standard financial aid. I mean, really, we've looked at it as it's a system that, you know, allows an institution to really work with a student from like a full cradle to grave, you know, full lifelong learning system. Give an example. In our new student system, you could put together a course that's a summer camp, that's maybe it's a reading camp or a writing camp or a math or robotics camp. And you could capture the students that are in that camp that summer as a, you know, non-academic, but still an academic event, and really start to work with those students from that point. And then post-graduation, same thing, being there for those learners as industries change, offering micro credentials and other things and certifications that are kind of outside of the scope of that traditional associate's, baccalaureate, and master's degree. So really excited about it. I'm really excited about where Tambellini's kind of, you know, placed it. But I mean, it really is very different than the systems you see in the market today.
Yeah, and Oracle's really always been at the forefront of technology and innovation. And right now, everybody's talking about AI. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about how you're thinking about use cases for AI and machine learning really in student success.
Yeah, and that AI and machine learning, good thing about Oracle is, you know, we're a technology company at the core. So we have the infrastructure, so the database level, you know, so the cloud, Oracle infrastructure is there. The platform layer is where we have a lot of tools. AI and machine learning kind of rest right in that platform layer and are embedded in all the applications that sit on top of that platform layer. So if we think about student success, and we think about, you know, kind of talking about that student product, it will have AI and machine learning built into it. And the way that we envision that is to create a better advising experience for students, to really start to surface the things that matter to that advisor. You know, you think about advising on a college campus, professional advisors typically have 300 to 400 advisees. And if they don't have good data and they don't have good analytics, then they don't know how to like really kind of segment that population in a way to effectively kind of move the needle with regard to retention, progression, and graduation. I think back to the first time I was ever on a RPG committee, it was 2002. You know, you think from 2002 until today, if all this effort, all this focus on retention, progression, and graduation, and really we haven't moved the needle very much with regard to graduation rates. There is a great opportunity, you know, in these new systems and leveraging AI and machine learning to, you know, to better serve those students and get them get them the right support that they need when they need it more effectively, become more proactive, less reactive. But yeah, our AI strategy is built into our student product to do just that, to create a better student experience, meaning surface information to the student themselves, while at the same time surfacing information to that advisor and also to those support areas on campus, so that you kind of drive the advisor and the support area and you surround the student so that ideally that the student can be, you know, can stay on track, stay on time, get out with less debt, and you know, kind of, and then have a much better experience, much more informed and better experience.
Yeah, there's so many great things that are going to be coming out with AI and building that into systems. I'm kind of curious though. Do you have any cautionary stories maybe about automation or AI that you run into or want to share?
You know, Oracle's got a great financial aid system. We call it student financial planning. It has machine learning. It has AI. Basically, you know, heavy automation can take for about 85 to 90% of the financial aid operations. It can automate that. You know, still going to be 10% that the office has to touch or look at because they have some unique, you know, kind of issues on that student's record. But for the most part, it can automate end to end all the way from filling out the FAFSA to packaging to dispersing the aid, and nobody has to kind of touch it. It's all happening in the background. You know, RPAs moving information. Nobody's having to touch the keyboard. It's really keeping that student on time, on track. It's better student experience, very intuitive student experience. But with that hyper automation, the cautionary piece is that when institutions go to implement something that's got this level of automation in it, where you're no longer going to be touching the keyboard or touching those records, you got to make sure you understand the business process on the campus. Now, you know, include the registrar. For example, the example I'm going to give is, you know, there are a lot of academic departments that, you know, for one reason or another, may not turn grades in at the end of the semester in a timely manner. Well, if the grades aren't in the system of record and the financial aid system's running an automated process called Standards of Academic Progress, and it's looking for grades, you can see where there are no grades there for the entire department, the law schools per se, like the law school grades, because the law professors have never put those grades in on time. They've never had to. Well, if you don't know that, then the system is going to automatically put all of the law students right into that standards academic process and give them all, basically say, send them all a letter automatically. It says, hey, you're not going to get financial aid because you didn't meet the standards of academic progress because you don't have any grades. Well, they have grades, they just weren't put in. And they never had been historically. So, I mean, understanding how the different units across the campus do their business and how that business relates to that heavily automated system is critically important. Because I will tell you that if you do send out letters to all the law students, the first place they go is to the dean's office, then to the provost office, and then the president's office, because I mean, they've all got great grades, so they're wondering why they got this letter. But that hyper automation and not understanding all those different business processes at the academic department level can lead to some angst among the students and the dean. But that's kind of one example of, you get a product that can really automate things, create a lot of efficiency, but really just kind of understanding, those other pieces, because the last thing you want to do is upset, 35, or more law students that are doing great in their classes, they're on time, and send them a letter that's not quite, applicable to them. So, making sure you control and test for all of those things in that automated system are critically important.
Yeah, I mean, clearly Oracle has got some great minds thinking about this and a lot of industry experience. As they've kind of rolled out the strategy, what are some of the things that you feel differentiate Oracle in the AI space?
I definitely believe that because we do own the entire stack. I mean, it's, we own the database. We're able to really kind of, make sure that your data is not being commingled, make sure that your data is, that the AI tools are running on your data and only your data, that we're not running these large language models across multiple institutions, without, there is a whole layer of kind of being responsible around how you're leveraging these tools, ethical or responsible, but really kind of putting forward a very solid, methodology around how AI is going to be used on our customers' information, and giving them the tools to really do it themselves is critical to that. I mean, really giving them that kind of the tool that they need to kind of really mine their own data, get those insights, turn those insights into action.
Yeah. Hey, and I know that you're, speaking of insights and really helping customers be better, I know that you spend most of your time on the road, despite this world of Zoom calls, et cetera, and really, you're interacting with prospects and existing customers, trying to help them move the needle, so to speak. So, tacking on to the travel question, what do you have any interesting personal stories, travel stories that are kind of fun, different?
There's quite a few, but I think when people ask me about, like, what's the strangest thing maybe that you've ever experienced while you've been traveling, and I'll tell you, I got COVID fairly early. I got it March 5th of 2020.
Oh, wow.
So I had COVID. It was really rough. I was sick for about 6 days. But once I got over it, I was like, okay. So, when states started to open back up, Texas and Florida and others, and they were like, hey, we want to have a meeting, and we're going to have it on campus. So I was kind of like, well, I've already had COVID, so I'll, and I can carry, a lot of conversations with our customers, and I was kind of became the designated traveler. So the first time I went to the Atlanta airport was probably in the first part of June. And I got to the airport, and it was the eeriest feeling ever, because if you know anything about Atlanta, Hartsfield Jackson International Airport, it's the busiest airport in the world. I kind of walked in, and through security, there may have been 12 people. I got on the train, and I got off at Terminal D, which is usually one of the busiest regional terminals. And I was by myself. So nobody was on the train. You look right, you can see Terminal C. You look left, you can see Terminal E. Nobody. looked up the escalator, nobody. It was kind of like a Stephen King moment or a Shining. Like I was in the big hotel in The Shining, by myself, and it was a really weird feeling. But I got all the way to the gate and got on the plane. It was me and another guy, and we had 5 crew, 2 pilots and 3 crew for 2 of us. So think back to that now. You go to Atlanta. I was in Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport yesterday. Things are back to normal. I mean, things are back to normal. But I tell people that story because it's like, it wasn't that long ago. And honestly, I think about COVID too and how much it, changed the industry in higher ed. I mean, really kind of accelerated the push for 100% online learning, really kind of opened institutions' eyes on a lot of things that they were still very manual and that they couldn't do when working remote. So, that's kind of one of my interesting travel stories from the road was being one of just a handful of people in the busiest airport in the world.
Yeah, that's great.
There's actually that's funny, and you mentioned it. It's Stephen King. He has and it's more of a short story, Langoliers, and passengers are on this flight to Los Angeles, and somehow half the passengers disappear on the plane, and they land, and then everybody's gone in LA. And just what an eerie thing that would be. I mean, so you had a real life experience. You could have, translated it maybe into a bestseller. The other funny thing that and you teed this one up is the change that COVID has made, and it wasn't across the board, even like space. You know how there was a big crunch for space on campus, and a lot of universities were moving administrative offices off campus because of the demand. And now, that whole space situation is completely different, where most colleges are now still allowing people to work at least most of the time off campus, and they're hoteling on space, on campus. And it's dramatically changed the landscape, both from the academic side and from the administrative side.
And it's amazing, like how, one of the other things, just quick sidebar is, we still have a lot of customers that are out there running in PeopleSoft.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to find PeopleSoft talent. And one of the good things about remote work is that you can find PeopleSoft talent in Central Florida. There's a good bit of it that's down there in Central Florida. If you know where I'm talking about, there's a largest retirement communities in the world. Yeah. And there are a lot of people that still enjoy work and will work remotely from there and have great skills in these older technologies. But I will say that the students coming out today, just, one other thing that institutions have to think about is these students are coming out of college understanding these new code languages, and they want to work on systems. If they're going to work in higher ed, they want to work on modern systems.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's true. It's gonna be an interesting situation as you see the demographics change, and anybody that's up and coming in their career, they're moving to AI, they're moving to Oracle, they want the latest technology, and so you're going to have a lot of legacy opportunity, including with Elastiforce, let's just say.
That's
right. that we can support the old PeopleSoft applications. But going back to Oracle, so love the career, trajectory and what drove you to get to Oracle. I've worked alongside, and Paul has worked alongside both PeopleSoft and then Oracle. What's the culture like? What have you been surprised by anything?
I would say that, when I was on the customer side, you always looked at Oracle. It's like this big machine where you had multiple people calling into your account. I'd pick up the phone and I'd have, 4 or 5 different people from Oracle. It didn't seem like they all knew what each other were doing. Like right hand, left hand. Now this is 15 years ago. I will say that what's been really great about the culture here at Oracle is it is truly like a team, and we're really working hard to bring a unified Oracle to our customers instead of you getting called by 5 or 6 different people. So I mean that is one of the things we're striving for. One great thing about the cloud business and the SaaS business, it's a service. I mean, it is software as a service. So you have to become more of a service provider. It's not sell licenses and say good luck. You've got to stay engaged. I stay engaged with customers some of them have been live for a while, and it's basically making sure. I mean, quarterly releases. I mean, I think about when I first got into enrollment management, the latest version of banner, student had hit the market. It was out there for us to install and upgrade. And I went to the registrar and my IT person. I said, "Hey, when are we going to put this in?" And literally they're like, "No time soon." And I was like, "Why not?" They're like, "Because it's going to have some bugs and we don't want to be first." And I'm like, "What do you mean we don't want to be?" So, you're already, it's been 3 years since you got the last update, and then we're going to wait another year. You can't, in this day and age, you just can't live on technology that's 4 years old. It doesn't work. In the cloud, new features, new functions come every 90 days. And part of that is helping customers really adopt those and take advantage of the things that are coming in the product fast and furious.
Yeah. It's always talking about Oracle. It's always curious to me when you're working with such a large and influential company like Oracle. What's it like to schedule someone like a Safra Katz into a prospect? What is that like?
It's actually not hard at all. We have a process. You basically fill out a little justification form. I mean, we've had Steve Miranda at customer sites. We've had Jeff Henley at customer sites. We've had Safra visit with customers. We've got a great kind of thing at our, we're in Austin and Redwood Shores and soon to be in Nashville. We got these corporate visitor centers. So it's really easy to get senior level executives connected to customers. So it's not a hard process at all. I always talk about some of the things that we do on the side, but I mean, my boss, Pam Snyder, Vivian Wong, Safra Katz. I mean, truly, I think that Oracle takes, women in leadership and culture and inclusion very seriously. And it's a great part of the culture here at Oracle. But, I've never had a problem getting senior level executives to a customer site. You definitely have to prep them, give them the justifications, why are they coming? What's the objective? I mean, but yeah, once you lay those things out, the executives are definitely willing to kind of lean in and get to know the customers and even kind of, ensure their success.
Yeah, I actually remember Debbie Carver way back when, and we were trying to sell PeopleSoft financials to UC Santa Barbara, and Jeff Henley lives in the community and is in fact one of the biggest benefactors to UCSB. But he was more than willing to jump in and try to help us sell to them and understand the environment. And we did a dinner with him, but she was able to get him to attend, and for him, that's a small deal. It's not a big deal for Oracle, but he was willing to commit the time, and he obviously higher education is very important to him, and to Oracle. But getting people there because of the commitment to higher education is definitely important to them. And kind of picking up on that, I think I have another question. Is Oracle does have a commitment to higher ed and K through 12, and very philanthropic. So if you're looking at Oracle, Andy, and some of the investments they're making in higher ed, can you tell us some of the things that they're doing specifically to higher ed and really around philanthropy?
Yeah, definitely. And I'll start with some of the things around just higher ed in general. I mean, we have a large internship program, and we have what we call large class up program. So we do a lot of internship programs for kind of those students that are still sophomore, juniors, come in the summer, spend a few months, getting to know the industry, getting to know the different elements of Oracle. And then we have a class up program. We hire 6,000 plus college graduates every year. We hire them into this, we put them in to one of 3 locations: Boston, Austin, and in California, Santa Monica. Nashville is going to be one of those facilities as well. So when Nashville opens, it's going to be a place where we're taking these students that are right out of college and bringing them into Oracle and running them through a lot of corporate training and other things. So that's like on the, commitment to the product of higher education. One of the other things that we do is Oracle Academy. This is free software, free instances and environments for the purposes of teaching and learning. We do that for K-12 and for higher ed. And there's some great use cases out there. The University of South Carolina's School of Computing and Information Science been using Oracle Academy for 25 years. And the good thing is as new technologies come out, the portfolio of what you have available to you as an institution grows. For example, you can spin up environments of NetSuite. You can spin up environments of Java. You can spin up, if you have a construction management program, we have Primavera. I mean, there's a lot more to it, but I mean, there's just the list of applications that are available for institutions to use for teaching and learning is just great. Last summer, we realized we were missing a piece of the higher ed market. We used to say you could only use this in your teaching and learning in your 4-credit classes. So we really kind of kicked the door open, and now we allow institutions to actually use the assets from Oracle Academy for things outside of the actual, in-seat classroom learning. So continuing ed, workforce development, really kind of making, certificate programs available to students they can do self-paced, so they can get certified in Oracle Cloud on their own time outside of class and add that to their resume, really kind of making them more work ready when they enter the market. So Oracle Academy is a great program. It doesn't cost anything. There are some legal T's and C's that both Oracle and the institution sign, but that's it. And other than that, we have curriculum pre-built so that they can just kind of start using, or we can spin up environments and let faculty kind of take off on kind of building out different use cases for their own teaching. But great program. Another program.
I had no idea. I love the self-teaching, the self-learning.
Yeah.
It's open entry, open exit.
Yeah, when I talk about, I'm more excited about the stuff we've been able to kind of do in the last year with Oracle Academy. I mean, Denise Hobbs she leads Oracle Academy for North America. She's a great resource available to any institution. If you find me out there on LinkedIn, you're interested in Oracle Academy, anybody who's watching this later, definitely reach out and we'll get you connected to that resource. Like I said, offered to both K-12 and to higher. Really neat little use cases. We have NetSuite in there. So a lot of business schools use NetSuite to teach their MBA students about ERP, about enterprise resource systems.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of applicability all the way up to even like that post-baccalaureate level.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, this has been a fantastic conversation. Always good to see you, Andy, and thank you for taking the time to meet with us. So this has been a fantastic episode of LaunchCode with Mike and Paul. I'd like to thank Andy Clark for joining us. I'd like to thank all our viewers for joining us. We'll see you on the next episode.
You have been listening to LaunchCode with Mike and Paul. You can find all episodes on your favorite podcast services and on our website at elastiforce.com. In addition, if you have software development or Oracle or PeopleSoft managed service needs, visit us at elastiforce.com and let's see how we can help.